Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pirates of the Burning Sea 1v1 tournament made by YGG. And today, we will see a fight between Flint and Aaron for the first place. And then we'll also see Bonnet and Reina fighting for the third place. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the... I've got Bounty beside me as a commentator
Well, hello,
to
people.
spectate the fight and analyze stuff. So, yeah. So first of all, Bounty, what do you think is gonna be like the main focus on this fight?
The main focus on this fight, I believe, will be a broadside lock be between them both, and I believe it will be one of the naval officers T-boning the other one to catch them on the nose. I believe that's going to be the game plan for this type of fight.
I'm struggling with the camera. Hold on. Oh, why have you guys stopped? Anything wrong?
What was that, sorry?
No, it seems like they're having a problem because they dropped sales, or...
Oh, they're waiting for their respawn counts to disappear to make it
Oh,
even.
okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, they're waiting for the respawn counts to come off.
So, what do you think about Flame bringing the Mercy, and Aaron the Herxley? Because we've seen a lot of Hercules heavy in this tournament for sure.
I would say that it looks like James Flint is going towards I'm going to, use the DPS of the Mercy to win his fight for him. And I believe if Aaron has taken the Herc's Sleek, he's going to use it for the maneuver to try and force it. So it's easier for Aaron.
Yeah, fair enough. So accuracy gunpowder already. Do you think they'll switch to damage once they get close? For sure, right?
They will either go for damage gunpowder or reload, depending on the situation for them both.
You know, I've seen Flint using reload gunpowder a lot this tournament. He seems like he makes uses of the naval officer DPS, and the fact that the losing crew doesn't reduces your reload rate for sure.
Yeah. I believe the first person who drops their crew the most will be at a disadvantage.
True. When the tournament first started, who would have thought that two naval officers were gonna fight in the final? Because I didn't expect it. You did. Interesting.
Yeah, I said that two naval officers are going to take the end because of the broadside locking capability. The naval officers will outperform them if they do what these two have done, which is broadside lock and nose camp.
Interesting approach here. Seems like they're keeping the distance. Scatter shot. There you go. Is Flint gonna start with scatter shot as well? I would assume so, right? There you go.
They're both going to.
Yeah. That's the
Also, don't forget to add
approach.
in the damage numbers. Don't forget to add in the damage numbers. A lot of people want to watch the damage.
Oh, fair enough. There you go. That was a good call, Bonnie.
That's right. I'm watching from the stream, so I'm a few seconds late.
You know what? I'll stream on you on Discord, so you and Darrell can watch it on, on live if you want. Also YGG. So Flint has warning shot, so the next spikes is gonna, gonna be good because it has that damage stacked on those cannons. And I assume that's Forgotten Country. Yeah.
Increases your reload and crew resistance.
And James Flint has Flagship.
Increases your damage and
Are
her
both
reload.
using the same build? I wonder.
No. Aaron is more into escort than he is into anything else right now.
Bounty, if they get into a side lock, you would assume the Mercy would win this, right?
Yes, in a side lock situation, yes, because of the DPS, yes. Because of the DPS bonus that the Mercy has.
Flynn has used Rapid Shot. Interesting.
It all depends on what Aaron's doing, which I said earlier, he's going for that. He's going for that T-bone right now.
Yeah. Oh, that was really good movement from Aaron, I gotta say.
Yep.
Did Flint use Last Stand for the turn rate, you'd think? Or just
He's
to tank
using
that?
he's using it for the damage resistance and the turn rate to increase both.
You think he's using it for both? Oh, he
Yeah.
got that shot in. Look at that. Look at the Aaron broadside right there, Bounty.
Yeah.
They're both using reload gunpowder, which makes sense because, you know,
Yeah.
kind of close to each other.
Yeah.
Gotta remember that Naval Officer does not lose any reload rate, but it does lose turn rate. So, yeah.
Hence, so this is the reason why I said that one of them will will be going for the nose camp, and this is the situation.
This doesn't look good. Yeah.
No.
This is the kind of situation you don't want to be in, giving your bow to Aaron, because then he'll do things like this.
There's the break morale.
Break morale, so he kind of turn. There you go.
Yeah.
Because we gotta remember that on Legacy, break morale works differently than on live servers. It actually stuns you, and you cannot move for like 3 seconds. Is it, Bounty?
5 seconds.
5 seconds. It's a strong debuff for sure.
Here comes James Flint. Will most likely go for the invincible here.
This is a thing we could expect, right, Bounty? Because the Mercy is not as agile as the Hercules is sleek for sure, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. That James Flint
Invincible right there.
Yeah.
Aaron is gonna hold the shot here. I don't think he's gonna shoot through that invincible. He's gonna wait until it runs out and he's just gonna keep getting that bow.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with Flint in the tournament. I think he made really good rounds. He made unexpected wins against some opponents. Because most people would have said, you know, in the first rounds that Archer would have beaten Flynn, for example, or... We also gotta mention...
Bonnet was super close.
Yeah, I agreed. Bonnet had a Flynn on his hand for sure. Yeah. But then... Flynn made it around, which was great.
From what Aaron is doing, it looks like Aaron is going to be taking a win on this because of the nose lock.
It looks rough. It definitely looks rough, and that's the issue of having a mess in a 1v1 scenario, right, Bounty? Because you're missing that turn rate, that agility.
Yes.
You don't have as much acceleration as the Hercules is sleek.
Yeah. So what Aaron has done is he's increased his acceleration and increased his top speed to allow him to do so.
Ooh, they're gonna be on par now, but it might be too late for Flynn now. They're both against the wind.
No, the Slurk is going to take that because the Slurk is already in a better position.
Yes, it is. You look at the Aaron broadside though. Oh, this is looking bad.
Yeah, one more shot.
Has he used Final D yet, Bounty?
No. Final D should
He's
be
holding
coming
it.
up. Yeah. There we go. Final D.
I gotta
That's
say,
30 seconds of you cannot be killed.
Yeah, but is he gonna pull it out in 30 seconds? I don't think so, Bounty.
No, he's not gonna be able to pull this out.
I think Aaron got the win. And this is the huge difference that Hercules League can make in a tournament, right? Because with the Mercy, you lack these things. you can pull it out for sure. Like we're not saying the Mercy is bad or anything, but the Hercules is like just it gives you that freedom of deciding where you want to be in the fight. And there you go, Aaron is the winner of the tournament.
Yeah.
And
Congratulations to him.
Congratulations to Aaron. I think we also have to congratulate Flint because he made a really good he made a really good job in the tournament as well.
Yeah. Flint did really well for that.
And YGG, can you unmute Aaron so he can talk? Since he won, and I think he'd like to have some words. Because the thing is, on Discord I don't see an unmute button. It doesn't show me he's muted. That's the thing. It's probably because of his role, right? I gotta give him the role. I don't know. If you can make that happen, that would be great, YGG. But yeah, that was great. Everyone who is watching, yeah, just keep on waiting because we have to decide who's gonna take the third place on the tournament. And one thing I'm impressed with is that if you see the rewards, which I can read them here. Hold on. I think they're very well distributed, Bounty? Because even if you end up being third or second, you get a lot of rewards in here. Like, you don't have to be the first, as it has happened in other tournaments, right? Where if you don't end up first, you don't get much stuff, Mm-hmm. Indeed. Right, I don't know if Aaron can talk now, but yeah, I can't unmute him because it doesn't show me as if he's muted or anything. But yeah, congrats, Aaron. That was... I didn't expect the fight to be that quick, and that was impressive. The things that a Hercules League can do. I think Flint held that final D really well, to be honest. He pressed it at the correct time, but there was nothing to do anymore. So hello, Aaron. Yes, let me lower your volume. There you go. That was really good. Indeed, indeed. Interesting. Interesting. I gotta mention one thing to Darrell. I really enjoyed the events you guys did the start of Legacy. They were really fun. But if I'm not mistaken, Bounty, you won one of them, didn't you? One of the events that was made on Legacy. Yeah, there you go. Isn't that where you got the cool cosmetic with the musket? Ah, with the bugs. Fair enough. That was a really cool thing as well. That you would get rewarded for finding bugs and all that. That was a great idea. For sure. Yeah, was just gonna say that. I think that. No, go ahead, Darrell. Sorry.
Fleets, who can kill the most amount of fleets, and so on, and they get rewarded for pushing themselves to be as best as they can in that scenario, instead of it just being for PvP.
Oh, right, of course. There's all kinds of different competitive events that can be done. We can also do racing, that practice, good sailing techniques and strategies and builds. And we can have round tables where we talk about ways to optimize things. We talk about things like hauling. Hauling is something that a lot of people do, and it's not talked about a lot. So, you're right. There's a lot of different things we could do at the PvE level, at the PvP level, and just at the pure economy and making things happen in the world level.
Yeah. So just so everyone is aware who is in the chat, you can't hear Darrell, by the way.
They can now. They can now.
Oh, can I?
They heard everything you said now.
Oh, don't hate me, but Darrell, I have to ask. I'm really trying to get a unique title. I think there was one called "Beat Them at Their Own Game." That's what YGG was talking about, but completely up to you. I just think like a unobtainable title would be super cool. But up to you. If it can't happen, no problem. Just figure out that.
Oh well, I'd have to see what's involved. Like if it's a title that's not normally available, it's not always grantable. In other words, it has to still exist somewhere in the framework. Like what we talked about earlier, like the prop rifle that was given, that musket, that matchlock or flintlock musket that was given. It exists. It was created by FLS. It was simply never made into an actual item that could be used. However, it still exists, the system, the animation, the logic for it exists. And so therefore it could be turned into an award. So if the title exists, we might be able to do so. So get back to me on that and we'll see what we've done.
Awesome, thank you. I had to ask. But yeah, my coach, it was Alejandro, by the way. He said he doesn't care if I reveal. He helped me a lot. We scrimmed a lot, like many hours.
Well, I'm glad he's here on Discord right now.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Alejandro, for teaching how the best.
Alejandro is a solid player. I mean, you got the best coach.
Very good.
Well, it really showed. We have to win, very solidly. So hats off to you.
Yeah.
Hats off to you and the coach.
Yeah, and just so everybody is aware, Darrell has spoke about the fish mods. He's seen your comments about the fish mods. He is just waiting on some other stuff to happen, and then there might be a change in them. It's not 100% guaranteed just yet. I don't know if you want to add on that, Darrell, for the fish mods.
Right. I mean, we're aware of the fish mod legacy, complaints and also, there were not only fish mods but other things in bones of contention. A lot of players who like the concept of legacy felt that he should have gone back further. Should have legacy wasn't legacy enough was a complaint that got voiced a lot. And I mean, that's why we did a lot of talking beforehand to try and figure out what build everybody wanted. And it was it perhaps is reflective of the disconnect between the Discord community and the actual players of the game, because not everybody in the game, matter of fact, few people in the game are actually on the Discord server. So the Discord server has a sort of a subset of population, and their interests are not perhaps always aligned with the greater population that is not only playing the game now, but who came back to play legacy. And the population on Discord was saying you have to have the society warehouses. It has to happen. And so that meant that we had to go back to the very earliest build we could, that where there were society warehouses, and that was 2.10, and that included fishing, that included the fish mods, and all the other stuff that went with it. But we've done a good job of adding some things, moving different things, adding rates, getting rid of group strength. So I think over time, if we can, if everybody's in, agreement, you get that fishing, get rid of the fish mods from Legacy, we could probably do that. We can get to that point where we actually turn off fishing. And if you can't fish, well, you can't get fish mods. So.
Well, definitely, a lot of the people like the fishing aspect, to show off the fish. Maybe is there a way to, instead of delete fishing, just reduce the stats on the range fish mods? Because that's what most people are concerned about.
Well, that can be done too. I mean, there's a couple of different ways to do it. And probably what we'll do is we'll have some kind of a series of discussions about it as we get closer to that point. Like, in other words, what would be the best way of keeping what people like and getting rid of what they don't? And when we come to the conclusion of this is what needs to be done, then that's what we'll aim.
Yeah, because if you are reading the YouTube stream right now, a lot of people are saying, well, some people are saying that they would, like to nerf it.
Yeah, Surgeon.
Delete it.
Right, there are some folks who want it completely removed, and
well, some of them, not all of them, but yeah.
Right, again, there's always.
Yeah.
When you get to something like this, there are people who love fish mods.
Yeah,
and there are people who hate fish mods. And there's some people who don't care one way or the other.
Indeed, I have a friend named Proshan who loves fishing in the game. He spent 1 hour fishing himself, and I don't know, he enjoys it.
Right. People love fishing, and they're like, look at my trophy fish. I caught the tiger. I caught this. I caught that. And that is cool.
That is cool.
Why would we take something away from you that you like? So we have to kind of think of what everybody's stake is and make sure we don't take away things that people like, but we meet the interests and needs of the majority of the players, because no matter what we do, somebody's going to be unhappy. So I guess in many ways, decisions like this and changes like this and other changes, they greatly come down to making the least number of people unhappy. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's very hard to, keep everyone happy, because, there's always disagreements, right?
Yeah, and it looks like the fight between Bonnet and Reina has been called a forfeit because Reina's not being able to turn up.
Yep, seems like Bonnet will be the third winner, and yeah, he gets that third place. So congratulations, Bonnet. I know you're here. Don't know if you can say a word, but yeah, congratulations.
Let's have a look. Yeah, Bonnet can talk.
I mean, I'd rather fight.
I know.
So be it.
I know you would have rather fight with Reina. Reina is a great player, for everyone that doesn't know him. He's a great Russian player.
I fought Reina lots of times.
Yep. Arguably one of the best privateers from the game. He's a really good player. But it's a shame, but at the same time, maybe it's gotta be too late for for the Russian population out there. It's probably 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It's kind of late.
Closer to 4 a.m. for them at the moment.
Yeah, it's very late. So it is understandable, but I mean he agreed to it, and he knew what the schedule and all those things. So after all, Darrell, sorry for stealing some of your time here, but I wanted to make a question myself. Do we know if there's anything? Like these last couple of days, you made an update to the live server, right?
Yes.
Do we know if some of that content is coming to Legacy? I know Bounty told me yes, but I just wanted to confirm it.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Those changes are coming to Legacy. It just took a little bit longer because it's a different code base. And it's the older code. So we need to make sure that it doesn't break anything. We need to test everything. And in doing so, that's why we did the live servers first. We made sure it was stable, and then there were some issues that we needed to fix, including some color shifts and things like that. So there's going to be another patch to the live servers, and that patch is going to include a patch of legacy at the same time.
Right. Thank you.
Mm.
So I don't know if anyone has any more questions.
There is another thing that the players of Legacy are asking for, which is, of course, which I brought up to you earlier about the ships. I don't know if you want to speak to players and tell them exactly what, is the situation regarding adding new ships in, or just, making some classes have different ships that can help them.
I think we understand that like new ship models can be done because there's not an art pipeline, but it would be nice to see, like, I don't know, maybe you can use the San Fernando and make a refit out of it, like the Santa Rosa on live server, and add it to Legacy, or stuff like to make a Legacy more vivid, to say so.
Well, there's a couple of things there, guys. Let's talk about it. Let's drill down into it. Okay, and let's really break this up. And then maybe this is a longer discussion, or it could be part of a longer discussion.
Okay.
But to talk about it, we have to first think about what we just talked about with the fish moments. There's going to be people who are for things and against things, and when we start talking about adding ships to Legacy, there's going to be a lot of pushback. Again, for the same reason, Legacy wasn't Legacy enough. So the moment we start adding newer ships to Legacy that weren't in the classic game, new modules, new stuff, etc., we're going to start seeing that kind of argument rear its head. Why are you making Legacy Legacy? Why are you making more like the live servers? So I can see that ahead happening in one hand. At the same time, I kind of understand the desire to have that. But okay, let's stick a pin in that concept. Step back and talk about a related subject that you touched upon, which is the talking about the building of new ships, the creation of new ships, and the art pipeline. So if you roll the clock back to when we were talking about Legacy, all right, I laid this out many times online in terms of what the overall strategy was, because I tried to make it clear to everybody, here's the game plan. And the plan was stabilize the live servers, make them, put together all the things that the population needed to, to grow and prosper, including a Discord server, including a brand new game web server, all the tools that they needed to track their account and everything, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we would come out with the Legacy server. Now, the Legacy server was supposed to generate a reasonably sustainable population. Okay, and by a sustainable population, I mean that it would be able to allow us to hire a content team of artists and animators, etc., that would enable us to actually resurrect the content pipeline and begin making ships and animations and new environments and upgrading the resolution, the textures, everything that you could imagine, including creating now new environments, new ports, and creating whole new content, including new missions, finishing the Fortaleza, and the cities of gold, chains, and everything you can imagine and more. Hundreds and hundreds of new missions, battle maps, dozens and dozens of new battle maps. We had so much planned. The problem was the foundation upon which these plans rested, which was the Legacy growing to a sustainable point where it could actually cover the cost of the content development team, was flawed, because that population waned and went down from its initial surge, went down pretty quickly, about a month or two. So we were all of a sudden left sort of stuck in neutral. We couldn't hire the team, and so since then we've kind of been pushing things this way, that way, the other thing. We've tried marketing, we've tried many different things, and even now we're coming out. We just came out with a massive patch with so many fixes, quality of life fixes, stability fixes, for long standing problems that have been around since like the Flying Lab days.
I read it. That was pretty good.
A huge number of changes we came. This is like the biggest patch ever. And behind the scenes, by the way, there were just as many changes. Behind the scenes, under the hood, that don't make it to the newsletter because nobody would see them or understand them. But lots of stuff was happening. Now, the goal of all of this, the end purpose of this, is once again to come out with something where it will create a sustainable population. And that is a launch on Steam. That is a launch on Steam. Now, we had originally intended for Legacy to get us to the content development team. And then as that grew, the population would grow even further. And then we'd have a triumphant arrival on Steam years ago. But without that, we had to go the slower route. However, what we're doing now is we're finalizing things to get things ready to go to Steam. And it's taken a lot longer, and it's been quite frustrating to make that happen. But I think once we do that and we come out with an offering on Steam, we'll have enough people to actually get the long-awaited content team put together, and then we'll actually start to be creating all sorts of fantastic stuff, including new ships. And where those new ships will appear and how they'll be used, we can talk about, if they're going to make an appearance on Legacy. Because, like I said before, there will be people who don't want Legacy changed. Matter of fact, they want things cut out of Legacy. Just like how they wanted group strength cut out of Legacy.
As you speak, Darrell.
Yes.
As you speak, Darrell, there's someone in the comments just literally saying that they don't want nothing to be changed on Legacy when I mentioned the ship variety and all that.
Exactly, and it's a perfectly valid point. They want Legacy and they play on Legacy because they like that experience. They don't want it to change. The last thing they want is something that they're happy with to change. How many times have we, as players out there in the world, been playing a game that we like, and then all of a sudden the developer starts making changes, and we're like, why? Why did you do this? Whether it's something silly like the icon changing, like why did you change your branding? Why did you change the user interface? Why did you change your colors? Onto actual gameplay changes, and you're like, why did you break this? It was great, and now it's not as fun. And sometimes these changes seem to be made for change's sake, not for any real benefit. It's not something the players asked for. It's like, who asked for this? I didn't ask for this. And we don't want to wind up like that. When it comes to Legacy, sometimes less is more. If we are going to do something, we're more likely to agree to something like, you know what, bring Legacy back, more Legacy, get rid of the fish mods. Okay, that if a lot of people are like, get rid of fishing, okay, how do we get rid of fishing? Do we cut it out entirely, or do we keep what the fishers like, the fishermen like? And maybe we can add maybe a little gameplay to do something else, in addition to that. Like, for example, there are ships like the Fishing Smack, and it's a very underused ship, but it's a really cool little ship that you can use to go around on.
Yeah.
But if you can go around and you could actually use it to fish, and you could do things out there in the open sea pertaining to fishing and the Fishing Smack and do cool things like that, that might be something that I think the people on Legacy wouldn't object to, because it wouldn't interfere with anybody's gameplay. You know what I mean? It would be something cool for the folks who like fishing. Little things like that. But we can obviously
it'd be nice.
talk about
It'd be nice to see them to have like different clothing, required
yeah,
for
of
fishing.
course, and maybe even buildings pertaining to fishing. Like in economy, you could build up a whole new section of the economy that has to do with fishing, like a cannery, or fish, the fish drying racks, all these interesting things that can be done in terms of provisions and the like. So, but you know what I'm talking about. I think everybody on this call, you're all completely up to speed. It's not like I'm already preaching to the choir, so to speak. When I speak to folks about these things, a lot of times you'll try to talk about these issues with people, and they like, what are you talking about? But everybody here knows what I'm talking about, which is really refreshing.
Well, the thing is, we just want what's best for this game because everybody that's been playing this game for years and years and years have always come back and wanted to keep playing it. And there's a reason why, because it's the only game out there that is anything remotely close to a pirate MMO.
Indeed.
Right. Right. It's true. It's true. People, people may not initially realize how amazing this game is, how unique it is. And a lot of people see the flaws and the faults in them. But as time goes on, they realize, wait a second, this is amazing, and they look past the flaws, they look past the faults, and they're like, this is great. And I think as we keep going and we keep making more major patches and we polish the game more and we chip away the things that people didn't like or the problems like like there not being enough digits in the to cover the size of things in the auction house and and things like that, and we keep making improvements over time. I think the game will get more and more enjoyable. We're always going to be a retro game, kind of a game that exists in earlier era. Um, but I think in some ways now there's a big surge towards that. There's a level of interest in that you didn't see before, and I think it's partly driven by this aversion to AI. So many modern games are done using AI, and people don't like it. Whether you're pro AI or anti AI, there's a big anti AI sentiment to the point where Steam, if you're on Steam and you're using AI to make your game, you have to say, hey, this game was made with AI, and that costs you a huge amount of players. They don't
Hmm.
want to play the game. It might be a fun game,
Right.
but people will be like, AI, I don't want to play it. And that's really amazing.
Yeah,
So
it happens a
this
lot
creates
right now. Yeah.
this creates kind of a perfect storm this period of time for us to come out with this game on Steam, because people will look at it and go, "Oh, well, look at that, no AI here," and that would be, you know, that's a good thing. Let's take advantage of it. Let's get the guys in here and play with it. Come on, and that way, people who might not otherwise try the game, they would try it, and once they try it and they get in there and they like it, that would be great. And that leads me to another topic. And I think I've talked about this before. Folks who have been with me on kind of like the fireside chats and that sort of thing that I used to do in the past. And I've obviously posted about it many times. I've talked about the number one problem that we face in terms of growing the population, and that's what's called the onboarding funnel, or or the first time user experience. And it pertains to the tutorials. Like when you're a new player and you start getting into the game, the tutorials are a really hard thing to swallow, especially as a
Yeah,
modern
outdated,
player.
right?
Oh my gosh. You know what? Back in 2007, they weren't that great. But people got slogged through them because that's what you did. But
Right.
today, wow, the modern player, these
You just go
tutorials
and
are
play some
just,
other game, right? Because I don't
yeah,
like this tutorial.
they stop
It's
you.
hard.
We lose over 95% of all new players. I mean,
Yep,
people who
I remember you
make an
saying that.
account, we lose them before they hit level 2. They're in the game, they're there, they're going around, they're ready, and it could be they saw blood, they're like fighting in the tutorial, they're like, there's blood. What is this? Or it could be that they don't like the controls or they don't like this, and they're like, forget it, and they quit. We lose almost as many before they get to like level 3. So like those first 2 levels, like before they ever make it out of the tutorial, we've lost most of the potential people. So it is really a very rare person. And by the way, everybody on this stream, everybody in this Discord, you all ran that gauntlet. You all grew and survived and fought through all those difficulties, and you made it through the eye of the needle where most people didn't. So hats off to all of you, by the way, because that says a lot for you as as a player. You guys have some gumption, some stick to itiveness that really made you be here today. So that's great. But yeah, I think we do need to change the tutorials to get these new players into the game in a way that they can survive because they don't have the mindset for it. They don't have the ability to take it and take it on the chin and keep fighting like you guys did. Most of these folks, they'll bounce. And once they bounce, they're not going to come back. Oh, I tried that game. Yeah, I didn't like it. They will never come back. So you got one chance to do it, one chance to get it right. And that's the problem. You see, that's the real problem because what you've got there is you've got a chicken and an egg situation, a logic problem. We want to put the game out on Steam, right? And to do so, we're going to get a lot of players who are going to hit that tutorial and bounce. So logically, for the game on Steam, we have to change the tutorials. And to change the tutorials, we need the content creation team. And the content creation team is intended to come from the population that comes on Steam. So
yeah, that's a
you're
huge
faced
issue.
with this dilemma that's stuck us, in this current situation for a while. And as you know, we were also trying to raise capital for a sequel to the game, Pirates of the Burning Sea 2, through the Akela Publishing Group. Those guys are useless, absolutely useless. If any of you ever consider using them, don't. Absolutely useless. So, not to insult them. All right, I'll insult them. They're terrible. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for the long, detailed answer, by the way.
Yeah, there is a few questions from the player base in the chat, Simbra.
Yeah, I have them all in my notebook. Can I tell you some quick questions, Darrell, that people have,
Ask away.
Okay, so we've got Renee and some other people who were saying if I assume it's going to be related to what you said about the your very long detailed answer about the art pipeline, but there were they were gonna ask question about some quest lines about the game and keeping them updated, like El Dorado, just continuing doing those quests, or like Somerset quests, who are unfinished.
Right. Well, that's exactly what I talked about before, which is to say that we need to have our content creation team. And that includes artists, animators, it includes designers who are also writers. And they would actually pick up where those quest lines left off, and they would complete them in an amazing, epic way, as they should have been completed in the beginning.
Right.
And so anytime we're going to be creating new missions, we're going to be wrapping up and finishing anything that was unfinished. So that's all going to happen when we start creating new missions. Again, we're a bit constrained. We need to have that team. That work has to be done by people. And it's not it is a non-trivial task. The tools that we have to create these missions and create these systems are really archaic. I mean, this is 2007 tools, and we've done a lot of stuff in the background. We've resurrected the entire content pipeline. We've got all the Maya exporters. We've as a matter of fact, you saw in the latest update, some of the colors were a little bit off in that patch, and we're going to fix that, by the way. That the next patch is coming out is going to fix all of that.
Nice.
But that was because we rebaked the lighting in all of the environments in the game. So and that's part of resurrecting the content pipeline. The fact that we're able to actually do that in the game is only because we did all that background work. So we're actually at a point now where if we could hire that team, they could get to work right away. We've done all of the heavy lifting behind the scenes. So yes, in a short, it hasn't been short, but to come back to the question in a short and
we get it.
Yes, we intend to finish all unfinished quest lines. Yes.
Okay. Some other questions are, I know this is a very polemic one, but there's always the dilemma about whether the per battle schedule should be, what time, because you have on one side the Russian population, which is quite heavy on this game, and then you also have the North American population, and it creates a thing where. And some people were just complaining about the NA schedules on Legacy because, people leave the game when they see that there's a per battle and they can't fight it because they're at work.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, because you know,
I know it's very controversial, and I know it's hard to balance. I know that for
well,
sure.
it's controversial, but it's not, because if
Mhm.
you understand the logic and what's happening behind the scenes, you'll understand exactly what constraints we're under, and then you'll understand what can be changed, what can't be changed. So let's talk about it for a second. I think
Mhm.
everybody would benefit from a greater understanding of it.
Yeah.
So if we roll the clock back to 2006, 2007, you had FLS, this team of engineers and designers who had never made an MMO before, by the way. This is their first one.
Mhm.
And they didn't exactly have a lot of MMOs out there that they could draw best practices from. You know, everybody at that time was kind of figuring it out. They made it so that they expected to have a huge population and they were going to have a ton of servers. And they did. They had Blackbeard, they had all the different servers, and these servers were all spread across the various time zones. So whatever your online time was that fit best for you, wherever in the world you happened to be, you could find a server that matched it exactly. And that concept is okay. And if you have a huge number of servers, then the fact that everybody's kind of shoehorned down to these port battles where you can only have a limited number of people in them was okay, because on that server you didn't really expect to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people competing for every slot. However, that changed.
Mhm.
As the population waned, the FLS began to do server merges. And the server merges not only caused more people to leave, because now my favorite server is gone. Well, I got shoved onto this other server with people I don't know. Screw this. And they left. But what it also did was it cut out those time zones. And so the port battle windows start getting larger and larger and larger until you have dropped down to the absolute minimum number of servers that you can have. One for each hemisphere, one for the Eastern Hemisphere and one for the Western Hemisphere. And even there, the edges of those time zones are really inconvenient for everybody. I mean, who's going to get up at 4 a.m. to start doing a fight because it's happening?
Right.
It's really problematic to just even have just two.
True.
And the worst part was that originally, when you flip the port out of the port battle window, in other words, when you threw a port into contention, not in a window where it was supposed to be, the port battle got scheduled at the start of the next window. So it got scheduled at some crazy early morning hour. Nobody would show up. And again, FLS made it so that if a defender doesn't show up, they automatically lose. It doesn't matter if the ship that shows up can't beat the fort, can't kill the NPCs, can't take the town, they lose. NPCs just stand there and don't do anything, which again is a separate discussion and annoyed the heck out of me. But anyway, and then that might be something we fix over time. But here's the long and short of it. We fixed that, or we tried to fix that, with the updated port battle timer fixes. And this is one of many, many fixes that we've done over the years. And what that did was that placed new port battles closer to what was perceived to be the most active time on the server, like when there were the most people on, not at 4 in the morning when everybody's asleep, but rather where the most people were on the server, with the logic being that the defenders would have a greater chance of mustering a defense. It would be, and that was the best intentions of that aspect of it. And I think it helped, even though there were a lot of complaints about it, because it kept moving. People would.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, there was, by the way, it was interesting. There was a coordinated campaign among the players to shift the port battle window. So what they would do is they would leave themselves online to kind of artificially weight the algorithm, so that way it would be thinking that there were more people online at a certain time, and so it would slide the port battle window more in the direction they wanted it to go, which is very clever, by the way, very clever, and
Indeed.
but not really as intended. So in the end, we had to disable that and just make it at a fixed time, which I think was kind of the best decision out of like a bunch of not that great options.
Is there
Uh,
any way of splitting the window?
Well, Okay, now we can talk about that because you're right. We don't have a lot of options in terms of uh, we don't have a lot of options in terms of making more servers. If we make more servers, we could make the window greater. But in terms of creating two separate windows, well, that doesn't work either because if you split the window, let's say you made a window that's good for one team and it's good bad for the others, everybody's going to be trying to create port battles in the opposing window that's good for them and bad for the other guys. So that wouldn't splitting wouldn't work, and creating more servers doesn't work because you don't have the population to do it. Now, these these things change when you have a greater population. So, for example, the reason we have one legacy server instead of two is because we had initially started with one legacy server, and then we expected the population to grow. And then as the population grew, we would create a second legacy server to basically divide into the eastern and western hemispheres. Uh, but it didn't. And because it didn't, we didn't create the second server. Now, for the people who say, hey, just merge the servers, well, you have that. Legacy is what an merged server would be, and it only really services one time zone. And that's the problem we were saying the whole time. This is why you can't go down to one server because you effectively render half of the world unable to effectively participate in the RVR, the end game of the game. So it's however, when we get to Steam, and assuming we do have a success on Steam, not a wild success, just a success where we have enough players to actually
Right.
grow and do fun things, which is not really a lot, guys. It's not really a lot. We're not asking for a lot. Just get enough to make things happen. Well, then we can actually have more servers because with more population, we can have more servers and we can have the population spread itself out across those servers appropriate to their time zones, and then they can uh, all enjoy equally and appropriately. So, but again, we are sort of hamstrung by the mechanic that FLS saddled us with back in 2006, 2007. This leads to another question, and this next question is: can we change the port battle mechanic? Can we change the timers so that way there
Mm-hmm.
are multiple port battles throughout the day, multiple battles and attacks that which will kind of build contention that will lead to an overall state through which a port can be defeated or defended over the course of a day. And we've talked about that. We've got plans for that. And we've got ideas for that we need to test. We're not unaware of it. And a lot of great ideas have been floated in that direction. But again, it comes down to trying to design something that matches up with the game and it matches up with the code and it's not too radical of a change because again, one of the things that people don't like is when something changes too much.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I was worried about, by the way, one of the greatest worries I had is that this last patch, which was the biggest patch we've ever done, we
True.
made so many changes. I was worried that people would get like alarmed. We all hate it when there's like
Yeah,
things are
patch notes
changing
were
too much.
big.
Yeah, and by the way, I didn't even come out with the patch notes. I just came out with the newsletter. And that was big enough. Imagine patch notes would be like 30 pages. But as it was, I felt that the experience, the game mechanics themselves didn't change. And since everything that was fixed was a long-standing complaint that people had been, you know, desperately unhappy with for many, many years, I felt that it would go over well. And you know what? And I think it did. I didn't hear a lot of complaints. People were posting like vibing cats as they were like renaming the society warehouses after being unable to do so for many years. And they were like, yes, I can finally rename my society warehouse, and all that sort of stuff. So I think overall, all of the changes in the most recent patch were happily approved of and accepted by the playing population. Of course, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Let me know while we're on
Well,
the call here.
yeah, well, so a lot of people right now are stating that they would like to try the split window option. even if it's just for a few months, just to see what it's like?
Well, I mean, we have plans, and we are talking about plans. The real question would be, when do we implement them and where do we?
Well,
We have been making
you
good use of the test server lately. So when that concept is up and ready for testing, if you are in the beta test group, you'll probably receive a notification there. You'll be sent a special build through the beta test group's Discord channel. You can download that special thing, and you'll be able to connect to that test server, and it will set up port battles, and people can actually participate in them, and we can see how well it goes. And then we can solicit feedback. It's a whole process. The whole process that you kind of have to go through step by step, and even then, by the way, the beta testers might like it, but these are kind of some salty, crusty, hardcore guys and gals that maybe they're not the same level as the rest of the playing population. So sometimes what the beta testers might really love doesn't always sit well with the playing population. So it's not the end all be all. Sometimes we have to balance things out after the fact. But
Yeah,
yes,
but
down the
yeah,
road,
so
we're planning a lot of fun stuff.
yeah, but is there a way, like in the meantime, try the legacy split window option, see how it goes, even if it's just for a month or two, just to see how the player base reacts to it, and if there isn't any issues with it, we can stick with it, or we can just, if there is issues, okay, we've tried it, you guys got you wanted, it didn't work. Next option.
Right. Well, to make it clearer, first it has to be developed. We have to build it into the code. We have to change that game mechanic, and we have to put it on the test server. Then once the game mechanic is working and we've gotten all the major bugs out of it and everybody's happy with it, then we can actually try it. Then we can actually try it on the test server. I mean, on the legacy server or on the live server, and see how people like it, or on both. And if it works, that'll be great. It might just not be split too. We might be going to a 24-hour port battle window where you actually have several port battles throughout the day. It depends on. We've got a bunch of different ideas. We need to see what works best and what fits best in terms of who's logging in where and the like. So I'm going to switch away from my desktop to my cell phone. So please stand by. Let me see if I can
All good.
make this happen for you guys here.
Darrell, just to give you a break, we have to announce 5 winners from the tournament who will get 2 free BSNs because you got ganked, told me, the organizer of the tournament. So I'm just gonna display the wheel, so it'll be randomized, right? Who's gonna win the prize? There's gonna be 5 winners, so I'm just gonna stream it right now if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
Give me a second. Randomizer, there you go. Can you guys see it?
No.
No? Okay, hold on.
No, we're still looking at the waiting, the highlights.
Mm-hmm. Can you see it now? I think you should be able to now. Just made a transition. Nope. Hold on, give it a second.
Yep, we can see it now, yeah.
You can see it now? Okay.
Yep.
So the names are, basically everyone who participated in the tournament will have a chance of winning something. So there will be 5 winners, and the people are Tony, which I assume is Tony DNS, Alejandro, Admiral Edward, Henry Oberpin, ButterBR, Pedro, Jack, Sander, Leo, Fafard, Archer, and Reina. So with no more delay, let's just spin the wheel and see who wins the... Right, first winner is, let's see, I'm gonna note them here.
One go. Yep.
Oh, I see how it is. It's YGG
it
who
does
told
all
me about
fighting
this
on
page.
here.
So we got Jack, Leo, Henry, Alejandro, who was Aaron's coach, by the way, and Sander. Okay, those are the winners. Right, there you go. Let me put the highlights back again. It took me some time because I had some weird thing going on OBS. I'm quite rusty at this, if you can tell. Alright, let's transition. There you go. So congratulations to everyone who won something. You can contact YGG, who, by the way, we have to, congratulate him for, making this tournament.
Yep.
Because I don't know, I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I think it's been one of the best ones. I've seen a few of them, but I really enjoyed this one for sure.
Yeah, and if Darrell can get the GM role created for people, for volunteer GMs that don't have the full GM powers but can sort of run events and basically help people during the game, that might be a really good beneficial for people.
Well, now that conversation was taking place before the stream went live, so people in the stream might not know what you're talking about there. But if you like, I can give a recap of it.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
All right. So basically, during the conversation that was happening prior to the stream, one of the things we were talking about was the possibility of creating a group of community helpers. People who would have certain powers and be able to go around and help new players and guide people and help people who are stuck in missions and things like that, to basically kind of help out with the first time user experience and helping players survive their first few levels in the game, as well as helping other problems that happen in the world as you go on through in your career. And obviously, this was not something that was created by FLS. The systems do not yet exist in the game, don't exist in the code. And this is something, obviously, that we would need to build towards in the future. But I had expressed, that was definitely something that people would love participating in. There's a lot of very helpful people in the community. For all that there's some folks who lambaste the community and say, "Oh, they're a bunch of monsters." No, from the seal clubbing side of things, okay, maybe those guys are a little vicious, but
Yeah.
There's also equally a number of people who really are very positive and very giving in terms of trying to help other players and trying to grow the game experience over a larger population. And that really springs from the love of the game. I think the Seal Clubbers have the love of the game too. It just expresses itself differently. It expresses itself in various different ways. But yes, if we can get that built, then that could be something that we could actually have folks volunteer for and participate in, and that might be something nice to build up for the game as a whole. To basically put that kind of the care and tenderness that is in people's hearts and bring it out and let them actually help folks.
Mm-hmm. Darrell, can I ask you a question about retention? Because I know you talked about this just earlier, but I just read a comment here saying, well, of course Legacy didn't succeed because you guys didn't announce it enough. But I remember when the trailer was made for, POTBS, and I remember you guys were saying that the ads were getting views. The problem was the retention, as you said, the tutorials and everything that was included in it.
Okay, well let me answer that then. There's actually a couple of facets to the answer. Okay, so in terms of marketing, we did more marketing for Legacy than we've done on anything else. We put those ads in front of over 12 million people.
There you go.
Through, so we had a huge amount of marketing that went out. Matter of fact, there was more marketing for Legacy than there was by Sony for the game at its launch. So there's that. So there definitely was a lot of promotion. The problem was twofold. The first problem was that the people who came didn't stick. They didn't make it through the tutorial. It wasn't a kind of game that the modern player who these ads were hitting wanted to kind of experience, because that tutorial is brutal for a modern player. Somebody
Yep.
who's young now, 14, 15, 16, they grew up on like Animal Crossing and things like that. They're not
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
not ready for this kind of tutorial. So that was one problem. This, even without them, there were a bunch of people that formed a nice core of the server. Not necessarily enough to kind of for us to make and launch the second server for the second hemisphere, but there was enough to kind of bring the levels up to medium. That was like, okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. Had growth continued, we would have rolled out the second server, etc., and the like. But the problem was, there was, with the return of these old players, there was a return of a lot of the classic toxicity, and ego, and interpersonal strife that turned off a lot of people, and
Mhm.
they were just like, I don't want to deal with this again. They remembered all the craziness from the old days, and it caused a very rapid drop. When that started happening, there was a lot of drop off. There were also accusations of cheating. We spent a lot of time investigating, trying to pull up, was there any proof of it or not, et cetera. People like, no, they're not taking any action. Well, like, guys, we're looking. We can't just take action and get people, banned or this or that, the other thing. If we don't have proof, we only act on proof, never on rumors. We have to have the proof, and if we can't prove it, uh, you know, eh, we we can't do anything about it. And that annoyed people to no end. They thought we were taking sides, all sorts of wild accusations flying around.
Mhm.
So there was that just a whole bunch of little facets like that contributed to the whole. But the whole was that the population of Legacy fell off pretty steeply.
Yeah.
And not only did that put an end to the concept of adding on the content team, but it also put an end even to the creation of a second legacy server, because there wasn't enough population to really make the first one server work. How would you add a second one, and spread people out even thinner?
Right.
So, so I know it's a long-winded answer. I guess that's
No,
the
I
kind of answer
appreciate
I'm
it. I
giving.
think we all appreciate it.
I like to give a bigger picture, because when there's a group of players together, like everybody on this stream, everybody on this Discord, you guys can benefit from the big picture. You're not like a journalist that wants a quick answer. I think explaining it in the grand scheme kind of thing helps you understand better why things happened, and how things happened. And then when you start thinking of how can we do things better or differently in the future, this added information that I provide with these larger answers, I think that really helps. People are less likely to come up with an idea that they think it would fit great, but it doesn't take into account all these other aspects. That if they had more information, they'd be like, oh yeah, that wouldn't work because ABC.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right. Anything you want to say, Bounty? Or
Nope.
is there any questions that need answer or anything?
Nope, he has answered everything he needs to.
Right. I only got one last one, and then I think we're done, to be honest. So I got this question from Barrett that was saying if there. I think you've answered this question a lot of times already, by the way, Darrell. But he was saying that if will there be a way to request sales or flags? I think you've mentioned this like a lot of times already.
I don't mind answering it again.
Mhm.
Because if somebody still has the question after I've answered all sense, it means I haven't answered it enough.
Fair
It
enough.
means it hasn't appeared in enough places. and there's still people out there who don't know the answer and who might want the answer. So I'll talk to it. So there are almost 40,000 something flags and sales. Okay, 40,000 flags and sales. And initially, when we restored flags and sales to the game, because I don't know if you all remember, but they were gone for years and years and years. They were gone. We put them back. Vision brought them back. When we brought them back, we were like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's make it so people can actually get these things. So we put them in. We put a selection every month in the back of the shop. There's a guy called the Flag and Sale vendor or merchant, and he sells them for doubloons. And we tried to put them all 40,000 in Treasure Isle, and we couldn't. The game is a 32-bit client, and it's got significant memory constraints, and so we didn't have enough memory. It would just crash the game. We couldn't do it. We couldn't even put a fraction of them in. So we wound up doing something, which was we had the system take a random selection of 100 flags and 100 sales every month and automatically put them up in Treasure Isle, and that would automatically rotate. It automatically rotates also through the flag and sale vendors in the shop. So whether you're buying them for doubloons or whether you're buying for Burning Sea points, there's always something new there when you go and look for it. So there's that aspect already. Now, do we have a system whereby you can specifically request one? We don't have it, and the problem would become how to actually have people able to request it. We would obviously have to have some kind of catalog, some
Right.
kind of way or means of looking at all the sales and then picking them and buying them. And if we could do that, we would have had it in Treasure Isle in the first place. We
Yeah.
have that problem. So we would kind of have to build a completely external system, maybe over in the game website. It becomes an ever deeper rabbit hole to go down. We got to build systems. We got to make some kind of number, and you can reserve it. It's challenging with all the other things that we've got planned and that we want to do. It wasn't exactly high on the priority list. So the short answer is no, but we want to, but our hands are a little bit tied in that direction. And I know, again, is another long-winded answer, but I hope it kind of gives a better understanding as to why our hands are tied and why we didn't do it already when we already made so many changes to flags and sales. But I will add one thing to this. What I want to add is this. What we have now in terms of the flags and sales in the game is only a fraction of the entire flag and sales system. And I'm not
Wow.
talking about the number of flags and sales that exist before. I'm talking about the entire flag and sales system. All right. The entire flag and sales system was meant to be a complete and separate ecosystem of its own. All right. With its own economy. And let me explain what was originally intended. It was originally intended. And by the way, I like this. This is a great idea. And whoever came up with this, hats off to them. I think it was great. And I'm just sad that FLS never actually fully implemented it.
Let's hear
Okay,
it.
now let me tell you what it is. So originally, you as a player would be able to create user-generated content, UGC, okay, flags and sales. You would have templates, blanks, fill in the blanks, with Photoshop or whatever tool you wanted to, and then all of a sudden you could submit this beautiful UGC, this beautiful flag and sale, etc., to FLS through some mechanism, and then you could actually put it on your ship, and you would be the only one who could see it. All right, and then a GM at some point would have to approve it. And then once they approved it, it got added to a catalog.
Oh wow.
Okay. Now and then Okay, and then sorry guys, I'm like driving here.
All good, all good.
Sorry,
I
I'm like,
mean, we've been here for a long time
so,
already.
all right, so then, what would happen is that after it got added to the catalog, other players could see it. Other players could buy it. And then when another player bought it, then the creator would get a commission. So that way you could create user-generated content, flags and sales, and if they were great and they were ranked high and people could vote on them and people could buy them, and just through the sale of your content in the game, you could actually be generating commissions in the game. Now, this was in 2007. Now, if
That's
anybody
crazy.
on this call realizes exactly how much wealth was created for people in Roblox and in other things
That's a good
through the
example.
sale of user-generated content, we had this back in 2007. Okay? Now, what should have been done back then, what should have been done, and I think had FLS done it and seen the opportunity, what should have been done is that they should have made it, they should have finished this system and made it so that way people could make costumes, they could make hats, they could make clothing, they could have done every kind of UGC,
Yeah,
and
anything
then
you would
made it so that
imagine.
it actually paid out cash to the people. And that's something that even Roblox doesn't do. Okay? Paying out real money to people for their stuff. So in other words, you could be a creator and you could actually get paid real money. And how amazing would that have been? It could, if that came out in 2007, we would be in a very different place. FLS would probably still be around and quite strong, had they done that. So again, right now, we don't have the population that the game had at its launch. The seed that would be necessary for that kind of system to take off and explode isn't present yet. However, when we get on Steam and we start building the population, taking the existing flag and sale system and expanding it so that way that can be done, that full commission model works and everything works, and building it to where we put tools in the hands of the players that they can actually create assets. Like we'll give you 3D tools that you can create assets. You don't have to be like in the old days. You got to know Maya. You got to know animation. You got to do this rigging. Here's a 3D model. No, give you tools that make it simple for average players who
For the
love the
average
game to
player, yeah.
create assets for it. That would be, I think, fantastic, and I think we could do a lot of stuff with it. I mean, obviously, at some point, um, you know, there needs to be, there will be some kind of ceiling for that. There needs to be like, we want to be able to make costumes and pets and this and that and the other thing, but also at the same time, we want people to be able to make things like ships. You know what I mean? Like ship models. And but how many ships can you add to the game? What are their stats, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that becomes part of a bigger discussion, and maybe there would be contests. Like the best people would submit their ships, and maybe the best one that wins a contest, et cetera, would become available in the game for a period of time. So like people could get it and use it and build it and buy it and whatever. And then when the next contest winner came, that first ship would no longer be available. It would be replaced with the next ship that had different stats and
Honestly,
a
that
different look.
whoever came out with that idea, that was great.
Which idea?
Yeah, like the idea with the user made content that you mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
who did it, but I mean, it may have been, and to be honest, I think it was part of the initial design team, because these guys sat down, they came up with a ton of ideas, and very few of them were enacted, and some of them were half enacted, but then dropped because what happened was the initial team left, and then then they were replaced, and then the team that replaced them kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller as the population shrank. So they were faced with ever shrinking resources to do an ever larger number of things. I mean, this can really be seen in the fact that even though they knew that the tutorial was very bad and it was costing them players, they didn't have the resources to fix it. And so FLS never changed the tutorial. Even though they knew it was the sticking point, it was what was hurting them the most. They didn't have the resources to fix it. And that was an unfortunate situation. I mean, we can't change the past, but we can chart a course to a better future. And I think that's what we're all aiming for here with Pirates of the Burning Sea.
Well, I thoroughly support that, to be honest. Like,
right.
You guys know where the where the issue is, and you know that the tutorials need change. The casual player nowadays, everything that you've explained, basically.
Right, the challenge really is just getting there. The challenge is really just getting there. And if we had been successful in a couple of these attempts so far, whether it was raising money for the sequel, whether it was in terms of the launch of Legacy, etc., or even with what we're about to attempt, Steam, any one of these meeting even just a tiny amount of success, enough to allow us to create and hire and maintain the content development team, well then, guys, so much happens, so much stuff is going to explode. It's going to be so amazing for everybody who loves this game. We just need to get there, and but getting there is the biggest part of the
It's
challenge.
the tough part, yeah. Right. Thank you for being here, Darrell, and we really appreciate it. I think we're gonna end the stream here.
All right, right on, guys. It's a pleasure being here as well. Congratulations again, Aaron, on taking the win.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Good having you.
See you, Darrell.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
So with this, we are gonna end the stream, but firstly, we're gonna announce the next tournament matches. I think YGG told me. So yeah, is there anything you want to say, YGG, before we end? When the tournament starts. I think Bounty knows it. So.
Anything you want to type, YGG?
Yeah, just tell us anything you might want to type. After all, you're the one who made this. May 7th. So the tournament starts the 7th of May. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I think there's only 2 spots remaining, as I heard earlier. So if anyone's interested in it and wants to download the game or try it out, well, you know where it is. On the description of the stream, you can join the POTBS Discord server as well. And you also have the Reddit, which is not used a lot, but there's some useful stuff out there. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining, for staying here until the end. Congrats once again, Aaron, for the win. And not only Aaron, but the rest as well. Like I was impressed with Flynn, to be honest. I don't know if you guys saw the picture he sent, but that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Made a farb.
Yeah. Congratulations to everyone. So yeah, that's it. Thank you, Bounty, for staying with me today. I couldn't have done it without you, to be honest.
Sorry, my man.
And thank you, YGG, because you basically made all this happen. So you are like the main reason for this. So yeah, good night, everyone, and take care.